Mercedes's engine was completely legal. The FIA's own technical boss signed off on it personally, and that's exactly what made it such a problem. The FIA's own tech boss checked it out and gave it the green light, no problem. But that didn't stop four rival engine makers from getting seriously heated, to the point they pulled up to a private meeting in Bahrain during pre-season testing. Then things got even messier. The FIA quietly tweaked the rules before the season even kicked off, and didn't stop there. They went back and changed them again in March. Then, out of nowhere last week, no warning, no press release, nothing, someone scrolling F1 Twitter caught something wild. The Parc Fermé rules had been updated, and suddenly there's a brand new camera rule in play. Every garage, every car, full overhead view running all the time. No explanation, no headline announcement. The FIA just slipped it in like it was nothing. What nobody's saying out loud is, rules don't just change for no reason, and technical directives don't pop up by accident. You don't install cameras across every garage unless something serious is going down. There's clearly been something unfolding in 2026, and the FIA has been reacting on the fly. And right at the center of it all, the compression ratio drama. So what actually went down? Before Miami, the 2026 rules locked in a max geometric compression ratio of 16:1 for every power unit. Simple idea. Higher compression means more power, so cap it and keep things fair across the grid. Every team signed off on that limit too, so nobody could claim they didn't agree at the time. Every single manufacturer signed off on it, no complaints at the time. Sounds simple. Until Mercedes spotted a loophole hiding in plain sight. Their engine design, especially the pre-chamber inside the cylinder head, changed everything. When the engine was cold and sitting still, the compression ratio checked out perfectly at 16:1. Clean, legal, no issues at all. But once that engine fired up and hit full operating temperature, around 130 degrees Celsius, the heat caused parts to expand, and suddenly the real compression ratio jumped closer to 18:1. Yeah, that's the old limit from before 2026 even came into play. So technically, Mercedes didn't break the rules, not on paper anyway. What they did was slide right through the gap between what the rules said and what they were supposed to mean. Some people call that genius-level engineering. Others are straight up calling it cheating. It really depends on which side of the grid you're on. Even Verstappen reportedly estimated the gain at around 20 to 30 brake horsepower, while other analysts kept it a bit lower, closer to 15 to 20. Either way, on a track like Miami, where straight-line speed is everything, that kind of boost is massive. And here's where it gets even bigger. Mercedes wasn't the only one cashing in on this. McLaren, Williams and Alpine were all running Mercedes power units too, which means 4 teams had this hidden edge across the first 3 races of 2026. That's not a small advantage. That's a full grid shakeup. Meanwhile, Ferrari, Honda, Red Bull and Audi were absolutely furious. What started as a few complaints quickly turned into a full-blown alliance of frustrated manufacturers. The moment Red Bull joined in, things escalated fast. They organized a private meeting in Bahrain during pre-season testing and made it crystal clear to the FIA that this situation couldn't continue. But here's the awkward part. The FIA's own technical commissioner for power units, Vincent Pereira, had already ruled the Mercedes engine completely legal. That decision didn't just settle things. It made the entire situation way more political than anyone expected. Here's the problem. You can't just go back and suddenly say something is illegal after already approving it, because that basically admits you got it wrong the first time. And the FIA wasn't about to do that. So instead, they pulled a classic move. They didn't ban Mercedes. They rewrote the rules around them. The first decision? Hot temperature measurements would become mandatory starting August 1st. Sounds fair on the surface, right? But look closer. Every engine manufacturer voted for it except Mercedes. 4 against 1, which is exactly the number needed to push it through. Then things got even more suspicious. because without any big announcement, that August deadline suddenly got pulled forward to June 1st. No explanation, no spotlight, just quietly changed behind the scenes. And June isn't random at all. The Monaco Grand Prix lands on June 7th, marking the 8th race of the season. That's a key moment because teams are allowed 3 power units for the entire year. So naturally, Monaco is right when Mercedes would be expected to roll out their second engine spec. Perfect timing to tweak that cylinder head and bring the compression ratio back down if needed. So the FIA didn't just pick a date. They lined it up perfectly with Mercedes' own upgrade schedule. Clever? Definitely. A coincidence? Not even close. Now here's where things really take a turn. People on Twitter started noticing something strange. The FIA had quietly edited the Parc Fermé rules again, adding completely new language out of nowhere. No announcement, no breakdown, nothing official to explain it, no press release, no technical directive number, nothing official at all. These changes just showed up inside the updated rulebook like they'd always been there. And what changed? This is where it gets serious. Teams are now required to install a camera in their garage with a full overhead view of the entire car. Not sometimes, at all times during Parc Fermé conditions, and it doesn't stop there. Each car now gets a dedicated FIA scrutineer watching closely to make sure no unauthorized work is happening. On top of that, the rules about what teams are actually allowed to do during Parc Fermé have been tightened up big time. The new wording is stricter, sharper, and way less forgiving than before. So the big question is, why now? Parc Fermé rules have been around for years. They already had seals, checks, and security systems in place to stop teams from making sneaky changes between qualifying and the race. But adding full-time overhead cameras watching every move, that's a major step up in surveillance. And in Formula One, when the FIA increases monitoring without explaining it, that usually means one thing. Something specific caught their attention. Now think about this. The whole compression ratio situation depends on how the engine behaves at full operating temperature when the car is actually running. But what about the moments after that? What happens back in the garage during Parc Fermé when the engine is cooling down from those extreme temperatures? That's the part nobody has officially addressed. And that's the question sitting right in the middle of all this. These cameras, they're clearly there to answer something, and the timing makes it even more intense. On April 29th, just 6 days before Miami, Toto Wolff suddenly dropped a public statement that nobody was even asking for. Completely out of the blue, he brought up the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix, Hamilton and Rosberg crashing into each other while fighting for the same title. And he didn't stop there. He started talking about the 150,000 Mercedes employees, saying, "The moment a driver feels like this is all about him, that is not a mindset the team would ever allow." That's not a casual comment. That's a warning shot. But why now? Mercedes have swept all 3 races in 2026 so far. Antonelli is leading the championship, Russell is sitting right behind him, and the team looks untouchable. There's no outside pressure pushing them into damage control, which points to one thing. The pressure is coming from inside the garage, and honestly, it's not hard to see why. Russell likely expected to be the one leading after 3 races, but Antonelli flipped the script with that win in Japan. He's been sharper in qualifying too, and whispers in the paddock suggest there's already tension building inside Mercedes. Different sides backing different drivers, different priorities starting to clash. Toto Wolff doesn't just throw words around for no reason. He's calculated, experienced, and fully aware of how every sentence lands across the paddock. So when he brings up Rosberg and Hamilton, 2 teammates whose rivalry exploded, and connects it to a warning about selfish mindsets, just 6 days before a sprint weekend where both drivers will go head-to-head, that's not random at all. He's not just talking for the sake of it, he's sending a message, loud and clear. The real question is, who was it meant for? Put everything together, and this is the situation Formula One is heading into Miami with. Mercedes have been running an engine advantage since Australia, completely legal by the wording of the rules, but definitely pushing past what those rules were meant to allow. That advantage is set to expire at Monaco, right when the new hot temperature measurements come into play. At the same time, brand new cameras are suddenly watching every single garage, even though nobody officially explained why. Parc Fermé rules quietly tightened in the background, right when the compression ratio drama was hitting its peak. And right in the middle of all that, you've got Toto Wolff stepping in to warn his own drivers just 6 days before a sprint weekend. And let's not ignore the scoreboard. It's already one-sided. 3 races, 3 wins for Mercedes, and nothing for anyone else. That's before a single major upgrade package has even landed from the rest of the grid. This isn't a normal start to a Formula One season, not even close. You've got 3 rule changes, 2 updates that appeared without warning, and 1 engine advantage that pushed 4 rival manufacturers to the point of holding a private meeting before the first race even happened. That doesn't happen unless things are seriously off balance. And still, Mercedes haven't technically done anything wrong. Toto keeps insisting the engine is fully compliant, and the FIA's own commissioner backed that up. On paper, they're absolutely right. But Formula One has always had that grey area where being technically correct doesn't always match the spirit of fair competition. So Miami isn't just another race, it's a turning point. It's where we start to see if Ferrari, McLaren, or anyone else can actually fight back. And more importantly, whether the rule changes are finally closing that gap Mercedes opened up. The compression ratio adjustment is coming to Monaco. The Parc Fermé cameras are already locked in and watching everything. Even tricks like the MG UK advantage have already been shut down before Miami. Piece by piece, the edges that gave Mercedes that extra push are being stripped away. Now it comes down to one thing. Have those changes gone far enough? Or does Mercedes still have more in hand? The next few months of 2026 are going to answer that question, and Miami is where it all begins. Don't forget to like and subscribe to never miss the latest F1 news.